Entrepreneur and author Amy Summers is a familiar face to the Tampa Bay business community, and now she's sharing her expertise in a new book, Lift, 10 Mentorship Touchpoints to Empower Your Team and Accelerate Your Career, which reimagines how we help each other grow in the workplace. She says mentorship isn't about formal programs or senior titles, but rather the small everyday moments that can redefine a career path. And she's joining us today on the Fox Local Book Club. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks
Great to have you back in Tampa.
Thanks for having me.
So in your book, you talk about mentorship being everyday moments rather than a formal scheduled program or maybe even a formal meeting. So give us an example of like a small touch point that could make a big difference.
Right, so in my book, Lift, I give out 10 touch points on how you can just weave mentorship into your regular leadership style. And the first one's a great one to start with because it's show up.
Show up,
You know,
yes.
presence is a lot of mentorship, just being present, you know, coming to an interview and not letting your team handle the interview, like you stepping in, asking someone, you know, to lunch or to a client meeting. A lot of mentorship happens from just observation. So showing up and being present shows respect, and it shows the person that you really care about their journey.
Absolutely. So you started your business here.
Yes.
What, like a decade you had a business here. So what kind of influence did this area in your business here have on the lessons that you share?
Well, I really started my publicity career here in Tampa Bay because I got my first PR agency job here in Tampa Bay. And I had a boss who was a great mentor, and she gave me a lot of responsibility, and I really learned how to run a business. So when I went to school, I didn't get an MBA, but I learned so much from just her, and she gave me a lot of responsibility. The relationship didn't end well. It actually ended very poorly, but what that taught me and what I teach and Lift is that developing talent is important, but also how you treat people is important, because you never know when you're going to run into them again, or maybe, you know, coworkers that you have today, maybe a boss tomorrow.
Exactly.
So it's important with how you treat people and how you leave relationships and work.
So do these tips apply only to the boss, or can a junior employee step up and do some mentoring?
I think mentorship flows both ways. And so when you recognize that, then it really becomes valuable, right? So we've kind of made mentorship into a little bit of a chore, like it's something we have to do or check off a box.
Right.
But if leaders see that it's so much more than that. You are giving to someone, but if you really listen and ask questions, you're going to find that, you know, younger professionals, they're closer to new trends. They know more about new emerging technology, and they're kind of more on the ground floor of what's happening. And getting that perspective can really help you innovate and come up with ideas that you might have missed.
So you mentioned that small conversations often change careers more than big promotions. So was there a small conversation in your past that had a big effect on your career?
I think for me, since I started my company when I was 27, a small conversation was, you know, after the Great Recession that we all probably remember here, you know, I had to lay off eventually all of my employees. I had an office building and the whole 9 yards. And I started talking to other business leaders in Tampa Bay area about what they were doing and how they were changing. And that's what really prompted me to make a major shift and go to 100% remote business.
Wow.
And then that gave me the flexibility to scale differently and eventually move to New York City, where I am now.
Wow. So how is it different in New York, doing business in New York and doing business in Tampa? Like, is there any difference in terms of mentoring?
Sometimes people answer your phone. We have a New York number, I noticed, especially media. They'll answer your phone with a New York number more than an 813 number. But other than that, there's not much difference. I think that it really comes down to relationships. So I think in any city that you're in or any environment, it comes down to the relationship you have with people. And that's what's going to really, you know, make a difference in how you do well as a company.
Well, we're so glad to have you back in Tampa. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm going to tell people how they can get your book. You can find Amy Summers' new book, Lift, 10 Mentorship Touchpoints to Empower Your Team and Accelerate Your Career at all major book retailers.